Hi there, it's Nicole for Simon Says Stamp, and I'm so excited to share a couple of new thank you cards with you today featuring the March Choose Joy card kit. This card kit is jam-packed, and I think for the first time ever, Simon is offering 2 stamp sets in a card kit, which I'm so excited about. I am taking the Neenah 110-pound solar white cardstock from the kit. I've cut it down into 4 A2 sized panels, meaning 5.5 by 4.25 inches. Those 4 panels are going to create my 2 cards. I need a background and I need a popped up panel for my frame. I am taking the Simon Says Stamp Fawn Collage. This is from a fairly recent release, I believe. And I'm die cutting a window opening in the front panel for each of my cards. So on 2 of the pieces of white cardstock, we're going to die cut this Fawn Collage. I wanted something simple to frame up the adorable little images from the Showers and Flowers clear stamp set included in the kit. In fact, everything here today was inspired because I just loved this little chick holding the umbrella. So I'm lining that up with the Stamp Positioner tool. I'm using the stamp platform from Tim Holtz. I'm stamping my image with an ink for Copic coloring. Whatever type of color medium you're going to use the ink that's going to work for that. This is the Lawn Fawn Jet Black ink. I did use the Stamp Positioner tool so I could stamp this a couple times, one on top of another, to get a really good outline. Then we're going to color in this image with some Copic markers. I did want to add some additional detail, so I'm adding some little raindrops, also from the Showers and Flowers clear stamp set. This stamp set is awesome. It has so many cute little images. Not only the little chick here with the umbrella, there's an adorable bunny, perfect for your Easter cards. And then I'm going to also be sharing the rain boots with flowers coming out of them. That's going to be the second card that I'll show you here in a little bit. I did leave in the coloring for both cards so you could see how I colored everything, including coloring the background. These images, I am not fussy cutting them out or anything. I am just going to color around those and add some detail to finish off this framed up scene. We're starting off with coloring the little chick with some yellows with Y11, 08, and 19, and YR04 and 09 for the bill and the legs. Really working to get some nice color and shading here with these. This is one of my favorite yellow color combinations. Do be careful not to oversaturate the paper. I have found that with my yellows, especially that Y11, if I oversaturate the paper, it tends to bleed outside the line a little bit. And we definitely don't want that. I'm coloring in the bill and a little bit of the legs that you can see with YR04 and YR09. These are yellow reds, some of my favorites though for oranges. And then I decided my card was really going to need a pop of red. So I decided to color in the umbrella with some red markers. Now I intended to start with R27, and about this point I realized I had not. I had accidentally switched the colors in my hand and started with R46 instead of R27. That is okay. It's just going to make my umbrella a little deeper red. I want the inside part of the umbrella to be just a little lighter. So for that, I'm going with R05 and R27 and coloring in the top part of the umbrella. I did try to blend a little with R27, but it's really mostly R46 and R39. And we'll add some detail to the umbrella with some little polka dots in a little bit. Once I have a good blend here on the umbrella, I really felt it needed some shadowing, so I'll take some cool gray markers and just add a little color, or warm gray markers rather, and just kind of going underneath where the top part of the umbrella hits the inside and adding that shadow. Then I'm adding some polka dots with a white pen. Now, something to note, I did not think of this prior to coloring. One thing is I think my Copic markers were still a little wet, so the white picked up a little bit of the color from the red and made them washed out the polka dots a little bit. The second thing is I'm going to finish these with glossy accents, and I think that tends to mute the polka dots as well. If that bothers you at all, you can always wait till glossy accents is completely dry and then re-add your polka dots right on top of the glossy accents, and you're going to end up with bright white polka dots. I did not do that before I photographed my card, but I do think that I'm going to go back and do that later, just so I have that really nice contrast between the red umbrella and some white polka dots. The little rubber boots, rain boots that the chick is wearing were colored with some cool gray markers, and then for even more contrast, I went with a little purple cap using some of my favorite B colors, B60, 63, and 66. These are really more in the blue color category, I guess you would say, but I use them for purples, and they are some of my very favorites. I love how purple looks with red and yellow, and this was just kind of a great way to add a fun kind of color, contrasting color to the chick's attire. The handle on the umbrella was colored with cool grays as well, adding some dotting detail to the chick, give him a little bit of texture, help with the look of having feathers, double checking how it's going to look framed up, coloring in the water with some blue colors, B21 and 24, and then for the sky, I'm going in with some very, very light blue colors with B0000, B000, and B01, and kind of using a brush stroke type of technique to kind of add my lines in, kind of coming in from that top right corner down to the bottom left, and then going in with my darkest color and adding some darker little raindrops. I wanted it to look like this chick was standing out in the middle of a rainstorm. Then I can always go back with my lighter colors and blend out any lines that might be a little too harsh. Definitely not perfection here. I did not go to the edge of the paper. I ended up trimming down my top panel slightly, so it's going to actually measure, the one with the frame, it will measure 4 inches by 5 1/4. And because I did that, I don't want my color all the way to the edge. So here's kind of what it looks like. I do need to extend out my water, I think, along the bottom, so I'm just going to do that with my B21 and B24, as well as color in the raindrops with those darker blue colors. That is looking good. Any adjustments that need to be made to the background, do them now. You could even go in with your colorless blender and lighten up some areas if something gets a little too dark. Now, from the other clear stamp set included in the Choose Joy card kit, I'm going to use the Choose Joy stamp set. And there's this fantastic border that looks almost like a ribbon. It's this really pretty border, and I thought it would be fun to stamp this with the VersaFine ONYX black ink along the bottom edge, or in that bottom area underneath the frame on the top panel. And once I have this stamped, I am going to go ahead and hit it with my heat tool, because the VersaFine ink is a pigment ink. It is going to stay wet for a long time. So you're definitely going to want to hit it with a heat tool before you do any embossing over it. I decided to stamp a greeting then from the Showers and Flowers clear stamp set right on top of this with a clear embossing powder, and heat set with some Simon Says Stamp white embossing powder for a nice contrast. It provides the perfect little place to add a greeting. I really love this. I think it looks like a piece of ribbon, and I really love that there are 2 different stamp choices in this month's kit. Very, very fun. So I hit this with the heat tool. I'm sprinkling on my white embossing powder. Even at that, it's still kind of stuck a little bit. I probably should have let it sit a little longer, but I was able to tap it off or flick it off with my fingernail over the trash can. Any little flakes you want to remove, and then go ahead and heat set that with your heat tool. And you're going to end up with a bright white sentiment on this little black strip along the bottom edge of the card, and it doesn't add any additional bulk since it's all stamped right on that layer. So now I am ready to go ahead and add my frame to my background. I'm going to do this with some scrapbook adhesives, foam adhesive squares. Even though this is going to give some dimension, I love that the foam adhesive squares are very low profile, so it's not going to add a ton of bulk. Then I'm going to take glossy accents. I could have done this before if I wanted to wait on dry time before adding my panel, but I didn't think of it. So instead I added my panel, and I'm going in. I have a Scrap Perfect applicator on the tip of my glossy accents, which really helps with perfect placement of the glossy accents. And I'm going to cover the water droplets, the umbrella, the beak on the chick, and I'm going to cover all of these with glossy accents, meaning that once this is all dry, maybe within an hour, I like to go ahead and let it sit for probably an hour, and the handle on the umbrella, they're going to have a beautiful glossy finish, which I absolutely love. And I think it adds a lot to the card without adding a lot of bulk. Then I'm going to take the thanks script and die cut it from some Schoolhouse red cardstock adhered to Fun Foam with Stick It adhesive to finish off my greeting. You could also stamp a greeting above this if you don't have or don't want to use a die and don't want to add that extra element to the top of the frame. This is just going to add a little bit of dimension, but there's a beautiful thanks sentiment in the showers and flowers stamp set that would work as well. Once I pop out all those little inside pieces from the loops on the letters on the script thanks, I'm going to attach that in place. And that's going to finish off this first card. Now my second card is exactly the same. I just switched up the image I used inside. So this is a great way to kind of extend your supplies and make more than one card at one time. I'm a huge fan of, if you already have everything out, go ahead and use it and get the most of it while you have it out. So I've had the stamp sets out, but to mix it up and make it a little bit more fun, I just switched up the image. You could even go ahead and do maybe an Easter card with the cute little bunny and carrot and get one of your Easter cards made as well. I am coloring the boots in with R000, R00, 11, 32, and 05. Now, I started out trying to color around my polka dots, and I think I originally thought I might want to keep them white, and so I colored around them. These are some of my favorite colors for that kind of peachy pink type of look for anything, but in this case, the rain boots. And what I ended up doing, because the R000 and R00 have so much colorless blender in them, they were bleeding a little bit anyway, so I stopped worrying about trying to avoid the polka dots and decided to go tone on tone with making them darker instead of trying to keep them white. Meaning I went over the polka dots with the R32, which is the darkest color for my boots, and to help darken them up a little bit more, I'll go in with R05, which is definitely more red, and kind of deepen those up a little bit and add a little bit more contrast, but I love the tone on tone look. Now the dirt along the bottom was colored with E40, 43, and 44. I think I cut that out of the video. Then all of the greenery is going to be colored with YG01 and YG17, and I'll show that in a little bit. Here's that R05 for the polka dots, and just a tiny touch of the tip of that pin to the polka dots adds a huge, huge difference. Again, for the sky, even though this is not necessarily falling rain like the last card, I used the same color combination to kind of add in my blue sky, kind of again coming in from that top right corner down to the bottom left, and keeping the color within, not going clear to the edge, because the frame again is going to be slightly smaller. You can see I've already kind of stamped and prepped my frame here. I'm going to draw in some darker lines. This time, instead of raindrops or anything like that, I did go in with my colorless blender and add or lighten up certain areas, and I took the tip and added little polka dots here and there. just to mix it up, make it fun. There's no real reason. I was just kind of messing around and playing. Sometimes it is so fun just to play with your supplies and see what you can do. I had just refilled my colorless blender marker as well, so it had lots of colorless blender in it and it was working great. Now, once I have this, we're going to go back to what I was talking about and color in all of the greenery. This is YG17 and YG01. I tried to go in sections, meaning I did the boots, I did the dirt, and then the sky. We'll do all the greenery. Then we'll do the yellow flowers and finally finish with the purple flowers. I tried not to pull too many new colors into this card. I had to have some green for the greenery, which I did not use on the chick card. And the boots, I didn't want to color them red or really purple, so I did pull in those peachy pinks. But the yellows are going to be the same yellows I used for the chick with Y11, 08, and 19. Even a little YR04 to darken up the center of my flower. And then the little purple buds here and there are going to be the same purples I used for the hat on the chick, B60, 63, and 66. So just really quickly finishing this up. Off camera, I did take the colorless blender and add little dots along the edge of the dirt. I don't know if they really show up all that much, just to lighten it up a little bit here and there in certain places. Again, we're going to stamp a greeting on that black stamped strip, just like we did the last one. This time I switched up the sentiment on the strip. This one's going to read, "For always being so delightful." I love that you can mix and match. I am going to use that same script thanks die for this card, just like the last one. And this time die cut it. I had a scrap of the Glimmery Spring Green Simon Says stamp cardstock, and I had used it for something else, and I had just enough of it left. It is attached to Fun Foam with Stick It adhesive. I keep all of these little pieces in my scrap file. I went ahead and die cut my greeting from that scrap to pop on my card, and I love how the green kind of picks up the green from the greenery in those boots. I'm going to pop that in place. Again, I added my glossy accents after I added my frame. You could definitely do it before if you weren't in a hurry to get your card put together like I was. And I'm going to finish off my little rain boots with a layer of glossy accents and let this dry the whole way. I think the glossy accents really helps make them nice and shiny and look a little bit more realistic. Once this is done, I will pop that sentiment that I was just talking about in place, put this on a top fold A2 sized white card base, and my second thank you card featuring the Simon Says stamp March Choose Joy card kit is all finished. Thanks for joining me today for these two cards featuring the March Choose Joy card kit. The supplies I used are listed and linked below the video here on Simon's YouTube channel. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you next time.